Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I am Kaz. I'm here with Harvey. And after a little bit of sleep, we are back to talk about the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Harvey, what'd you think of the race?
What I saw of it because I was busy wrangling dogs and stuff, I got to see about half the race was phenomenal. I mean, it was a record for number of on-track passes.
Hmm.
They Christian Rasmussen led with the most on-track passes of any driver. Big surprise on a
Yeah,
short
no
oval,
shock on that
right?
one.
I thought the wheel racing was exciting and clean. There was a lot of aggressive driving, but not, it was just good wheel to wheel racing. It was what short oval racing is supposed to be.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race. I said on the preview that I kind of accidentally discovered that short ovals are my favorite, and this is why. What a fantastic race it was. You're right. The wheel-to-wheel action was both intense and clean. We saw people running the high line the whole time. We really did not see a lot of gnarly incidents. We didn't see a lot of like what a stupid mistake this person made. We just saw
Yep.
a lot of fantastic racing and passing and strategy. And one thing I also do want to note with the threat of rain, I thought race control did a really fantastic job with those yellows and reds, keeping the track safe to drive on, making sure that we weren't taking unnecessary risks, but also still creating a really exciting race product. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to affect the viewership because I think they did make a huge mistake in scheduling this race on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys, I didn't go to bed until 12:30.
Yeah, I think the starting, I don't mind it on Sunday evening, but I think a
Hmm.
9 p.m. start time is too late on Eastern time, especially if you're trying to grow that audience, and
Yeah.
get people back into the fold from the East Coast. So I would have liked to have seen them start at 8, maybe 7:30, throw the flag. And we know it doesn't get dark on the East Coast till later, and that fireworks display and everything wouldn't be as dramatic, but um yeah,
I
let's do
know,
what's
I
right.
know, I know some casual viewers turned it off during, if not the
Hey,
first red flag, probably the second. Oh, you got some dogs running around back there, huh?
yes, I am in the middle of my dog rescue, as you can see with my little hat here, and I have Tater and Toast in my room with me tonight or had them in my room with me last night in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Pretty good
uh,
roommates,
yeah,
respectful
they've
of your
been.
space.
No, of course they weren't. They were all over me last night. So, but that was fine. That's why we do this. We are taking 16 dogs from. We picked them up in Omaha yesterday. We drove to Cheyenne today. We're going to be in Salt Lake City tonight, then stopping in Oregon, Oregon for the night, and then we'll be in Portland on Wednesday around noon to
Yeah.
hand them over to their new homes. So we're
Well,
really
I've
excited about it.
I've loved all the content you guys have been posting so far, and I know that it gets even better once you start getting too close to the forever homes, and you can start doing some handoffs into more long-term situations, and the dogs
Yeah,
are
so
really,
if
really
you're
happy.
interested in that, follow hashtag FrodoEV26 is the hashtag for the drive. So if you want to see pictures, not just from me, but from everyone else, take a look at that. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And look, I could talk about dog drives all day, but we got a race.
Yeah,
So, wow. As we said, what an excellent race. Won by an injured Josef Newgarden. What a great story. And I did not stay up for the press conferences, full disclosure, guys. I need my
I did
sleep.
because I'm
Harvey
in
did
mountain
because he's
time.
in mountain time. So talk to
Yeah.
me about how Joseph talked after the race. What was
Well,
his energy like?
yeah, first of all, he was thrilled, obviously, really happy with the race. He talked about the fact that I'm sorry, he and Marcus's cars were almost, you know, identical in terms of performance. He said
By the
100,
end, yeah.
yeah, 100%. The reason why we won is because we got track position out of that last pit sequence. And, he said the team won me the race with through that and through that strategy. So, he was really happy with the car, how it felt. And this is his sixth win at WWTW, so or
We
TR.
can say Gateway. It's his sixth win at Gateway. It's six of 11, by the way. He
Yeah,
has won more than half the races done at this track. And something that I think is interesting and fun about this one is that for, in a rare instance, another top IndyCar driver has got to be thanking Alex Palou a little bit because I do think that Alex running out of fuel and running so slowly in the entry to that pit cycle is what held Ericsson up. And
yeah,
and Josef was bold about going right around him. He saw what was happening. He knew exactly what it is, and he ducked right into his pit box and managed to avoid a majority of the traffic. Ericsson got stuck behind Palou and Josef ducking into his pit box and got held up
yeah, and
without
and they
without
talked
that,
about
that
that.
little sprinkle of luck.
They talked about that in the press conference afterwards, that Alex was in the wrong lane. He shouldn't have been there. If you're going slow in the pits, he needed to be in the other lane. And so there were some unhappy people about
I'm
that.
sure. I'm sure.
So
Since we're on that, let's just talk about that really, really quickly. It's such an interesting and uncharacteristic mistake from the 10 team. I know we say that every time they make a mistake.
yeah,
But Dixon took I get why they did it, right?
right,
Dixon's coming in for the emergency service. He knows at that point his race is probably over because
right.
he's going to be losing track position now and he's still going to need another full pit stop. Alex knew that that would have happened to him as well. So might as well take the risk and try and run it around. Um, it is surprising though.
Right.
I think it should have been quite clear to the teams at that point that he really shouldn't be attempting to make another try around the track. Again, Alex's bad luck is not too truly terrible. He didn't run out of fuel, on the back straight. He ran out of
Right.
fuel on pit entry, was able to coast to his pit box, and was able to get it restarted at all because there's a
Yeah.
chance that that wouldn't have worked for him, given that he ran it completely dry. Um,
But still,
Even
finishing
so, it was
17th is, not what you expect for a finish from him, right?
no, not in the slightest, and it was honestly really fun to see happen. You could tell the second it happened, the second that he was no longer actually powering the car, and both my husband and I just looked at each other with our jaws dropped. I don't even think we made noise. I think it was just a silent like, this race is going to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
The
race is
race
going to
changed
change.
and the championship changed a little bit
Sure,
because
sure did.
this is what we talked about. If Alex won this race, it really felt to me like he was going to put a lock on the championship, even though there's half the season left and all that stuff.
Mhm.
If he starts winning at these types of racetracks, it changes everything because we know he's going to be strong on the road courses and the street courses that are coming up. So,
Yeah.
it was not a bad thing for a championship fight for
Yeah.
them to have had that issue.
Look, I'm not going to say I'm gearing up for a highly competitive championship battle. I don't think we're necessarily in for that, but it is nice to stretch it a little bit further. I think that if we had one clear rival, we could say we were gearing up toward a big championship fight. The issue is if Newgarden takes all the short ovals
Right.
and Malukas
Kirkwood
keeps
wins a couple of
consistently
street.
finishing second, Kirkwood wins a couple of street races, Pato's going to get his win somewhere, maybe.
You hope
Um,
so. I
you
mean,
hope
these
so.
guys, yeah, McLaren again has a kind of nothing burger day.
Yeah, they do.
Finishing, ninth, 10th, and then down in 21st. And
Yeah,
that,
Nolan out first. Just a tough day for McLaren for sure. And
oh,
and watching the race, Pato was on the alternate fuel save strategy after a little while. I think it felt like a situation where he went to the alternate strategy because he didn't have the pace and he was just trying something else. Of the drivers on the alternate strategy, I never really felt like Pato was the main factor. I felt I was looking at Scott Dixon. It's it's just not Pato is usually more of a factor, and
Right.
he felt like a non-factor in this race. And I'll say the same for Christian Lundgaard, although I did note his little glasses that he was wearing under his helmet. I don't I don't know that I've ever noticed that before. I don't know if that was new or if I've never noticed it before, but I was amused.
Yeah, and
Um,
sorry, Nolan Siegel finished 24th, not 21st. I was looking at the wrong
yeah,
thing. So,
yeah, Nolan knocked himself out nice and early. Which
yeah,
by the way, I think was a racing incident. Yes, Alex lunged a little late, but it's Alex. I think Nolan got jumpy because he's not used to racing a guy like Alex and didn't realize Alex was going to lunge so late in the straight. Um, it is what it is. It's a shame.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
and God, poor Nolan, who really needs some good results. This is just not helping him at all.
No, he's having a tough season because he
Yeah.
is 21st in the championship. So,
Yeah. To get to 10th at this point, which is the, you know, public benchmark that his
yeah,
team has set for him, to get to 10th at this point is starting to feel a little mathematically impossible. Nolan would need top five finishes
right.
consistently in order to boost himself there. And I struggle to see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, but there, aside from McLaren, there was some really good racing. I mean, it's a short oval, so Christian Rasmussen again was a factor, right?
Christian Rasmussen provided us some really fantastic moments, man.
That
Um,
save was unbelievable.
yeah, I thought we were going to watch him put it into the wall for sure.
I've never seen a car that sideways come back. It's almost up. That was almost up there with Danny Sullivan's spin and win at
Ah,
Indy many years ago. I thought it was a brilliant job of saving the car, going on, finishing third. And it was so interesting in the press conference. He was like, third was all we had. We were not going to race with those guys up front. We couldn't run the low line at all. He
mhm.
only had speed on the high line. And then the funniest thing about that whole post race press conferencing was Joseph talked about the fact that when Rasmussen got by him, he
Mhm.
thought he was unlapping himself. He didn't think that was a pass for the lead for position. So he's like, oh, yeah, I just let him by. And then they're like, what are you doing? You need to go get him. So,
Watching it, Joseph did let him by. And I was thinking, well, he's defending the high line and Christian just surprised him by going inside because it's so
right.
not a Rasmussen move to pass on the inside. But it does
Right.
make more sense when I think about it visually, thinking that, yeah, Joseph just didn't fight him. And he got him back quite easily. It
Yeah.
wasn't ever a real, so that makes a lot of sense and is very funny and also a little disrespectful to Christian Rasmussen. Joseph, you should expect him to be on the lead lap on a short oval.
Yeah,
Come on,
and
man.
he thought it was Rossi who was battling him for, up would have been up with position. So, I mean, look, 325 miles and
you
that's
start to
you start to
you start to
lose
lose a little mental focus and
on
Joseph is
those.
injured as well, so he's dealing with a whole lot more.
Oh,
um
that's funny too. Talking about the injury at the post-race press conference, someone asked him, if it felt better here versus Detroit, and he said, "Of course it feels better here." He said, "Why?" And he said, "Because Detroit is Detroit. The surface on that track is so rough." He said, "A tenth was he felt terrible in Detroit because he knew they gave him the car to compete, and he couldn't physically compete and do any better
Sure.
than he did." And, he said, I don't want to race like that, but, it was the right thing for us to do to maintain decent points for
Yeah,
the championship and things like that. But,
and he got good championship points out of the race in
right.
Detroit, so
So
smart
he
decision.
said, yeah, this was a smooth, short oval. So of course it felt a lot better.
Yeah, well, everything should feel good to Josef Newgarden at Gateway, honestly.
Yeah.
This is his place very, very clearly. I loved watching him race here. Nothing should be taken away from Marcus Ericsson, who
No.
ran a fantastic race, led so very many laps. The first red flag, I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, okay, just call it. It's
Yeah.
Ericsson.
Did you see
Fine."
his wife doing the rain dance?
Yeah, yeah, I
Or
did.
girlfriend? Yeah.
Wife, yeah,
Wife.
she was
Yeah.
super animated, just like the biggest fan. I
That
love,
was funny.
I don't love when any sport becomes like the WAG show,
Right.
but I really do enjoy seeing a partner be really passionate about their partner while they're competing, and I thought it was cool seeing her be the biggest racing fan in the world at that moment.
Yeah, that was good. And he talked also, just about how bittersweet that was. He said, look, we needed a good result. It's been a tough
Yeah,
year. We haven't gotten all the results we wanted. And so getting a podium was great, but we had the car to win the race. So that feels terrible. So,
yeah.
he just, his word for today, for yesterday was bittersweet.
That
So,
makes a lot of sense. And a second place finish from him. And again, we can't forget he is in a contract year. A second place finish for him is great. That's a very nice statement that Marcus Ericsson still has a lot to bring to Andretti,
yeah,
um, or this series in general. But when you lead more than 100 laps and you really feel Joseph does this very well. He dials his car in ever so slightly at every stop so that he is on the right vehicle at the end of the race.
right.
Ericsson felt he had the car right away. And then as the race went on, it still looked great for him. He
Yeah.
wasn't, looking like he was struggling hard with the car, but I don't think it was quite as perfect toward the end of the race for him as it was at the beginning.
Yeah, I
And so
mean,
there's got to be a small level of frustration there that it was just dialed in perfectly at the wrong time.
I didn't get that sense in the press conference. What he said was we had the car to beat him, or we had the car to win, but it wasn't a better car.
Yeah.
It at the end we were equal and it was track position and it wasn't, he said my team did a great job getting me there. So
Hmm.
it wasn't against the team, it was just circumstances like we
Yeah.
talked about getting caught in going into pit lane. So, he was 100% happy with the car. So, it it's just racing luck sometimes. The
Yeah.
racing gods decides it's your turn, and
Yeah.
today it wasn't for him.
And you know who had a turn today?
Mhm.
Renus VK.
I know, I saw that. What a good, I mean, for a minute it was like, is he going to get a podium? So,
It did look briefly like it looked like Rasmussen had an error that brought him back with it when they were doing that nice little fight.
yeah,
It didn't last long, and Rasmussen was able to pull it away. But very briefly, I did think that there was a chance we would see Renus VK on the podium. I love seeing Christian Rasmussen there on short ovals too, so I felt a little conflicted about it. But it would have been so fantastic to
yeah,
see Renus on the podium.
for
JHR has been
JHR to
having
get
a
a,
rough season. For
yeah,
them to have that moment here, and for Renus as well, he came to this team thinking that both what the team had learned and what he had learned since he raced with them in a different series, that they were ready to put something proper together here.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and to
maybe
not
we're,
see the fruits of that must have been frustrating. So maybe this is an example of Renus and the team working well together to improve genuinely and not just kind of a flash of lightning good result. I really hope that for them. That would be so much fun.
yes, yeah. So,
And if JHR is not taking huge steps forward, we are in the part of the season where we're going to start talking about contracts and movements, guys. And
yeah.
Renus just made himself look very nice and shiny to anybody who might be interested in replacing a driver.
Yes, he did. He's such a strong driver in this series. You see its flashes in qualifying and
Hmm.
in races like this where when circumstances fall, he's very racy. He's capable of getting it done.
And his position at the end of the race today didn't come through luck. It was drive. He made some excellent and aggressive passes. We talk about how aggressive Rasmussen is, but I think Rinus is there on some level as well. He proved himself very willing to throw the car on the high line. I can't. He raced with everybody in front of him, whether it was Mick Schumacher or Alex Palou. He doesn't care. He's going to race you just the same. I really, really appreciate watching Rinus VK, and I'm looking out for him.
Yeah. No, that's a great result for JHR. It's a team that needed a little bit of a boost. Hopefully that brings energy to the whole crew. And, now everyone has a couple weeks off, and everybody at the press conference talked about how important that is now. This break between all these races in a row, the stress of Indy,
Yep.
and now getting a couple of weeks before Road America.
Yep. I mean, really thinking about it, and it's kind of been on a totally different level. It's been a little bit the same for people who are covering the race, right? Indy GP, 500 qualifiers, 500, Detroit, Gateway, finally a weekend off. I love when there's racing all the time, but it's time for these drivers to get a rest. It's time for
Yeah.
us to get a little bit of a break. And guess what? We get to come back to my favorite track on the calendar, my favorite track anywhere in the world. It's
Yeah, my
Road
home track.
America, our
So
home
yeah,
track.
we'll be there. That'll be fun. But before we talk any about that, we need to talk about the results of our victory lane game.
Yes, we do. And once again, I don't know. Maybe picking a novelty all Penske podium as a joke isn't a great strategy for points.
Yeah,
Just
and RLL proved me 100% wrong. That shows how much I know about the sport, apparently. I picked
well,
them
that's
all to
racing.
finish in the top 15, and none of them finished in the top 15. So,
That's racing any given week, man. All right,
yep,
let's go through this. Third step of the podium, I had Scott McLaughlin and you had Felix Rosenquist. Now,
yep.
Scott had an excellent late charge on that restart after he put on those fresh tires. He is the driver who made the very best use of that switch. And I did wonder if he had it in him to get up to podium position. Didn't think it was super likely. And,
Yep.
the great boost of the fresh tires fell off once he hit fifth position. Really, still an excellent improvement off the restart from Scott.
I
I
think a
love
great
watching
day
Scott
for
on
Penske.
restarts.
Great day for
Yeah.
Penske overall. I mean, obviously Malukas didn't have the day he wanted, but to have, three cars in the top 10, that
Malukas
stretches
felt
their
he
championship lead.
Malukas felt that they got the setup wrong, that he
Hmm.
didn't have the car. So when you're in that situation, salvaging a top 10 finish is fantastic. Good
Yeah,
job to
and
Malukas.
if you want to
And
compete
great job
for
to Scott. So much fun.
if you want to compete for a championship, your bad days can't be horrible days, and this
Yep.
wasn't.
Exactly. Malukas is a smart, mature racer. I say that every week. Felix Rosenquist, you had,
Mm,
nothing really to
mm,
note about
mm.
Felix Rosenquist's
Yeah,
drive. I
not
love the
his
car.
race. Yeah.
I had Josef Newgarden in second. I do get a point for having him on the podium in the wrong position. I should have just gone full home fan and put Newgarden on top because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just thought with the injury, it's tough.
Well, clearly the injury didn't. He said I was very comfortable in the car.
Yep. Yep. And that's what he said on the broadcast as well. Although clearly, once the race ended and all that adrenaline flushed out, climbing out was very ginger.
Yeah.
So he was very delicately climbing out of the car. You had Malukas on the second step of the podium, as we discussed. Good job salvaging what
Yeah.
could have been a bad day, but ultimately not good enough. I had Malukas winning the race, and you had a
Alex,
really smart choice in Alex Palou.
who when we don't pick him, he wins, and when we do pick him, it seems like he has a mediocre day. So
Yep, absolutely. And he
okay,
really shot his chances with that extreme gamble. I do think that he was looking at either finishing like 8 to 10
yeah,
or So okay, I get why he made the choice, but it's pretty crazy. For biggest mover, I had Will Power. He moved up 13 positions, but you had Christian
I had
Rasmussen.
Christmas, so I get a point.
So you
So
get a point for Christian Rasmussen moving up 16 positions. And as you said, making more passes than anybody else on the grid to get there.
yeah,
Congrats to Christian Rasmussen,
just
and
just
thank you
a,
to Christian Rasmussen.
just a tip for anyone watching a short oval: just watch Christian Rasmussen through the race if you want to see the most entertaining portion of any short oval race.
He's wild to watch.
Yeah,
For biggest bust, I had Felix Rosenquist. I just, I don't know. Luck happens
and
sometimes. And he didn't bust,
he
had
wasn't
a
the
okay
biggest
race.
bust. He dropped 10 positions, but yeah, Alex dropped 16, so he was the biggest bust.
Oof, Alex Palou, biggest bust. That would have been a
Yeah,
fun pick. And you chose Kyle Kirkwood, who also, was looking like he could have been a factor fairly early in the race, but ultimately just didn't dial it in at the right time.
right.
Lost a couple of positions, not too many, but certainly not the biggest bust of the day. No points for either of us on that. We're still sitting in the positives
Until
until we get to the gamble. We need to stop making these crackpot gambles and risking real points on them.
yeah,
Um,
but that's
I
what that is all about.
I
So,
know it's too much fun. I predicted that 20% of the race or less would run under caution. That would be 52 laps or less under caution. There were 60 laps under caution. So,
yeah.
we didn't see a lot. We saw a lot of red flag time, but we didn't see a lot of racing under caution, but
Well,
a
that
little more than
one,
20%. So, minus 2 points.
yeah, that one caution that they threw before the first red flag, I think is really what cost you. So,
Yeah, they were running for quite a few laps, just kind of crossing their fingers that it would clear up enough. And look, I'm
yeah,
glad that that's what I would have wanted them to do. I don't care about these
right.
points. I prefer the race be good.
And
So,
then, like I said, RLL did the opposite of what I said they would do. So I lose 2 points. So I'm minus one today.
yep, we are both minus one on the day. That brings me to five and you to
And me to 2.5,
3.5, 2.5. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna buckle down.
Yeah. We need to have a better second half of the season. We need to
I
stop.
need a I need a
Yeah.
Renus VK like result next week.
There you go. Let's see
Just
what we can do.
grow from the ashes of my failures of the
Uh,
last
uh,
few weeks.
all right. Well, we're going to be back next week or later this week with a podcast. It will not be a racing podcast. We're going to find a fun and interesting topic to talk about in these next two off races
I've got
uh,
a couple, so get
weeks.
excited, guys.
So stay tuned for that. And make sure you follow us on social media. I am at Harvey_drives, and she is Fast Car Kaz. And we are Rides and Drives Team Radio. So follow all of those. And yeah, I'm going to be hitting the road here in a couple of hours, and there'll be more puppy pics to come. So
Puppies,
stay
puppies.
tuned.
Absolutely. For all of us at Rides and Drives Team Radio, he is Harvey, I am Kaz, and we are out.
Drive safe, everyone.